Okay. Okay, everyone, so if you can take your seats, we're going to get started. But before we do, just a few housekeeping announcements for you. You won't be surprised that we ask you to please keep your mobile devices on silent mode if you can. We'd appreciate that. In case of an emergency, please note that obviously you can follow the emergency exit signs. They're located in this hall and on every floor of the building. Restrooms as well, located on every floor of the ICC section. The opening session is going to end at 12:30 p.m. Lunch is then going to be served from 12:30 to 2 p.m. Lunch for delegates will be served at ICC Capitol Hall, level 0. So that's where you need to go. For those of you wishing to say your prayers, please note that there is a prayer room, and that is located at ICC Capitol Suite, level 3. Now, we do have a simultaneous translation service for those of you wishing to take advantage of that. You'll see that the appropriate channels are up there on the screen, but let me tell you that we are providing simultaneous translation for 3 languages, for the following languages, I should say: Arabic, French, and Russian. As you'll see from the screen up there, you'll find English on channel 1, Arabic on channel 2, French channel 3, Russian on channel 4. Right, okay, everyone, if I can ask you to please take your seats right now. We're going to begin very shortly. Those of you who are standing up and talking, we promise that you will have plenty of time during the networking sessions, during lunch, to catch up on your conversations. We ask that you take your seats right now. Before I say this, I'm going to wait for a cue. Yeah? Okay? And I will wait till the hosts leave the stage, and then salutations. Okay, can I ask the gentleman standing at the front there, could you please take your seats? We're going to get started very shortly. We request that you please take your seats right now. Yeah, quite right. Yeah, we actually need to go right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, may we request you to rise for the arrival of the distinguished leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, we are announcing now the arrival of His Majesty, His Royal Highness, His Excellencies, and Her Excellency into the auditorium. If you may please stand. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome now to be seated. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And a very good morning. It is our pleasure to welcome today the Honorable Dato Sri Mohamed Najib Tun Abdul Razak, Patron of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation and Prime Minister of Malaysia. His Majesty Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah of Brunei, Dar es Salaam, His Excellency Hamid Karzai, the President of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, Crown Prince of the Kingdom of Bahrain, His Excellency Bakir Izetbegovic, Member of the Presidency of Bosnia-Herzegovina, Her Excellency Adifet Yayaga, President of the Republic of Kosovo, His Excellency MD Abdul Hamid, President of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, His Excellency Abdullah Benkiran, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Morocco, His Excellency Mohammed Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, His Excellency Sheikh Salim Abdul Aziz As Saud As Sabah, Deputy Prime Minister of the State of Kuwait, His Excellency Ali Baba Khan, Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Turkey, His Excellency Dr. Raush Nuri Shawais, Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Iraq, His Excellency Asit Isekeshev, Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Kazakhstan, His Excellency Craig Cannonier, Premier of Bermuda, His Excellency Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Ali, President of the Islamic Development Bank, the Honorable Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation, Distinguished guests, members of the press, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation, we would like to bid you a very warm welcome to the official opening session of the 9th World Islamic Economic Forum. We are honored to have with us here this morning Mr. Dato Sri Mohamed Najib Tun Abdul Razak, patron of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation, Prime Minister of Malaysia. He will, of course, be opening this forum for us today. We also would like to extend a special welcome to the distinguished leaders and all delegates to this forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to begin this program now by inviting Sheikh Qari Muhammad Ayub Asif to recite Surah An-Nisa, verse 29 to verse 32.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما ومن يفعل ذلك عدوانا وظلما فسوف نصليه نارا وكان ذلك على الله يسيرا وكان ذلك على الله يسيرا إن تجتنبوا كبائر ما تنهون عنه نكفر عنكم سيئاتكم وندخلكم مدخلا كريما ولا تتمنوا ما فضل الله به بعضكم على بعض للرجال نصيب مما اكتسبوا وللنساء نصيب مما اكتسبن واسألوا الله من فضله واسألوا الله من فضله إن الله كان بكل شيء عليما صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Qari. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure now to call upon the chairman of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation, Tun Musa Hitam, to deliver his welcome remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good morning. The Right Honorable Dato Sri Najib Tun Razak, Prime Minister of Malaysia and Patron of the WIEF, Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. When I was speaking last night at a reception in honor of our role players, I ended my speech by saying that the WIEF had arrived. This morning, I'm standing before such a distinguished list of heads of governments, as well as representatives from different countries here in London. And I would like to reiterate, to say again, that the WIEF has indeed arrived. This 9th World Islamic Economic Forum is a historical event. It is historical for 3 reasons. One, that it is being held in this great city of London, outside the Islamic world for the first time. And I would like to take the opportunity here to thank the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for his personal assurance when I met him, followed up by action of active support, so as to ensure, as we can see now, that the 9th WIEF is a success. I would like to thank the Prime Minister and the government of the United Kingdom for the full support that has made this WIF a reality. Added to that, I would like to mention the full support and active collaboration of the Mayor of the City of London, Mr. Boris Johnson, who again personally assured me and my colleagues of the full support. And indeed, all the facilities at the Mayor's office had been made available to us. And together with Sir Edward Lister, the Deputy Mayor, as co-chair of the General Committee, we had worked ever so hard towards holding this conference. I would like to record our appreciation and thanks to Mayor Boris Johnson and the office of the mayor in London. The second reason why it is historical is that there are 3 records that we hold as of today. Record number 1 is that there are 2,700 registered participants of this conference, which breaks our past record. Number 2, related to that, is the fact that 128 countries are represented here. Again, another record. And it is here that I can say that we are very proud of, as a third reason, and that is, this is the first time that such a big number of heads of governments and states and representatives of government grace this occasion. So, Your Majesty, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, thank you very much for your presence and your active support, because this is a very important factor that would encourage us to go on holding this very important event in the name of the World Islamic Economic Forum. I would like also, standing before you here, to thank the Prime Minister of Malaysia and the government of Malaysia, who has given us the full support and assistance, and if not for that support, we would not have been able to have our secretariat in Kuala Lumpur with all the facilities given to us. I would like also to thank the role players who are here. I would like to thank those volunteers who are here. And I would like to thank the committee that has worked so hard to ensure the success of this conference. The last point I would like to make is simply that the World Islamic Economic Forum is not represented only by this annual event. Maybe unlike other organizations of a similar nature, we have special programs and events that reflect the priorities that we give to, 1, women, 2, youth, 3, education, and 4, small and medium enterprises. Special women program had been arranged, and it has caught up in popularity. Activities of the youth have become popular. Cultural activities have also become popular. So when you have the opportunity and the time, please look at them, visit them, take an interest in them, because it does form the whole of the WIEF. Your Majesty, Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you again and look forward to a very successful 9th World Islamic Economic Forum. Thank you.
We thank the chairman of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation, Tun Musa Hitam. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now call upon Dr. Ahmad Mohamed Ali, Honorary Fellow of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation and President of the Islamic Development Bank, to deliver his remarks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Prime Minister Najib Razak, Patron of WIEF, Excellency Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman of WIEF, Your Majesty, the Sultan of Brunei Dar es Salaam, Your Royal Highnesses, Honorable Heads of State, Prime Ministers, Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is indeed a great privilege and honor for me to be here today to jointly welcome you to this forum on behalf of the Islamic Development Bank Group and all its 56 member countries. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to WIF and the government of United Kingdom for organizing the 9th edition of the World Islamic Economic Forum. I want to attest that WIF is indeed an outstanding platform of a progressive economic collaboration for the Muslim world. My congratulations to all, as today in the city of London, WIF have reached another major milestone in fostering collaboration with the advanced economies and that of the Muslim world. I also wish to express my sincere gratitude to the government of the United Kingdom for its relentless efforts in providing humanitarian assistance, relief operations, and partnership for the economic development, particularly in IDB member countries. Recently, IDB Group was given the opportunity to serve as the secretariat to the G8 Deauville Partnership IFI coordination platform chaired by the UK government. In this context, I wish to reiterate 3 major observations. 1, in order to attain global peace and prosperity, we must reduce economic gap, for which we must introduce programs to foster economic cooperation between the advanced and developing countries in win-win formula. 2, in order to sustain and expand the collaboration across cultures and nations, we must build trust. And 3, the role of the private sector in development needs to be further mainstreamed as a partner for comprehensive human development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the world is now a global village with increasing interdependency. We therefore must collaborate for mutual benefits. I am very glad to stress that a good number of IDB member countries have adequate human capital, infrastructure, financial resources, and strong development institutions to contribute towards global inclusive development. They have the headroom, they have the capacity. Much more can be done for foster economic partnership based on mutual trust in meeting the growing demand of the global economy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the world certainly cannot be at peace with itself when about 1/3 of us are poor, without proper food and shelter, with high unemployment, particularly among youth and women. I want to pause here to highly salute the United Kingdom's Arab Women's Enterprise Fund initiative, and I'll be happy today to announce that IDB's full support to this timely endeavor. The IDB Group has been at the forefront, battling together with some of the poorest and marginalized among us, as out of our 56 member countries, 26 are regarded as least developed. But as I visited all of these unfortunate brothers, sisters, fathers, and mothers among us, in their eyes, I see a sense of hope that they too want and can succeed if provided equal opportunity. I am therefore very encouraged with the work of the United Nations High-Level Panel on the post-2015 agenda, led by United Kingdom Prime Minister Cameron, Indonesian President Saluzu Bambang, and President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, recommending that we focus on promoting sustainable development and prosperity, thereby reducing the income disparity among us and in eradicating extreme poverty by the year 2030, bihawlillah. IDB Group stands ready to be a partner with our local knowledge and network of 56 member countries to collectively realize this noble ambition. No one should be left behind in this rapidly changing and globalized world. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot but mention the need to revisit and reform the framework of the global financial system to forestall any future economic crisis. I wish to congratulate the United Kingdom government for taking bold measures in this regard. In particular, I wish to commend the efforts in the transformation UK periodical, specifically London, as a global partner of choice and a center for Islamic finance. However, there is still more room for improvement. Therefore, I wish to offer the principles of Islamic finance, where the real economy must not be delinked from the financial economy. We need to systematically introduce socially responsible financing and investment. In our views, it is not about financial economy, but human economy that matters in the long run. IDB Group, supported by its 56 member countries, stand ready to assist with the ongoing efforts to refine the global financial system. Other global institutions in Islamic finance, like the Islamic Service Board, IFSB, Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions, AYUFI, and the General Council for Islamic Banks and Financial Institutions, SIBAFI, will also play a major role in this effort. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude that in this changing world, the new relationship must remain centered on people development and well-being. The tool we use may have changed, the speed may have multiplied, the distance may have been shortened, but the conversations must remain focused to foster the human economy we strive for. Business networking starts with people networking, and WIF has indeed seeded many business networks. A platform like WIF is needed to build trust in order to pursue business cooperation that brings mutual benefits and promote genuine partnerships for greater good for humanity. We need to recognize diversity as a strength. Ultimately, we need to mainstream partnership that will not compromise human dignity for the sake of economic development. I am confident that your deliberations in this forum will help deepen and build mutually beneficial relationships. I am pleased to share that IDB Group and its 56 member countries will be celebrating IDB's 40th anniversary next year. We therefore welcome any ideas on how best we could serve the next generation development needs more effectively. Together, we can build a better future, inshallah, where no one is left behind. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We thank you, Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Ali, Honorary Fellow of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation and President of the Islamic Development Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, I am now pleased to invite Dato Sri Mohamed Najib Tun Abdul Razak, Patron of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation and Prime Minister of Malaysia, to deliver his opening address and to officially open the 9th World Islamic Economic Forum.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And a very good morning. Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be back in London, one of the most international cities in the world. 1 in 4 Londoners was born overseas. Its boroughs are home to more than 100 languages. Today, this ancient capital sits at the heart of the global economy, a vibrant financial hub, a center of world-class education, and a gateway to Europe. In London, we see the promise of globalization, what it can offer. And so it is fitting that this is the first place outside the Muslim world to host the World Islamic Economic Forum. That is a testament not just to the openness which fuels the city's success, but also to the forum's growing influence. This is fast becoming a serious platform, a meaningful platform for the exchange of ideas between the Muslim and the non-Muslim world. As patron of the forum's foundation, I wish to express my deep appreciation to the British government, in particular Prime Minister David Cameron and Mayor of London Boris Johnson, for working so closely with us to make this forum possible. I also wish to commend Tun Musa Hitam and the foundation for choosing London and for all the hard work they have done. And in particular, this is the largest and the most impressive gathering of leaders in a forum history. Not even the severe storm we had yesterday prevented them from joining us this morning. And I think this is due to the very compelling narrative of WIEF, and together with the magnetic pull of London, a very deadly combination. So I look forward to the discussions over the next few days. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet at a time of both anxiety and hope. Hope because the global economy shows signs of health once more, with progress in the United States and here in the UK, reassuring data from China, and easing tensions in Europe. But also anxiety, because there is a feeling that although the symptoms may be abating, the underlying disease has not been cured. Around the world, there is an ongoing discussion about the nature of the modern market economy, about how capitalism can serve people and nations, not just businesses and elites. The global financial system faces unprecedented disaffection. In a developed and developing world alike, policymakers are preoccupied not just with the quantity, but more with the quality of growth. And as we search for new and more sustainable growth models, there is one path that can increase productivity, improve corporate decision-making, and strengthen economies. To take it, we must confront one of the most stubborn inequalities, one that is holding back prosperity and hindering development. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to put women at the heart of our global growth story. Ladies and gentlemen, all countries stand to benefit from the economic empowerment of women. For aging societies, it represents a welcome boost to the workforce. For the poorest countries, positive impacts on education, health, and development. And for the developed world, productivity gains and rebalancing of growth. Studies show that economies are healthier when women participate more fully. According to the World Economic Forum, greater equality and a higher per capita income are closely related with equality given to women. In OECD countries, female labor participation is positively correlated with GDP, and research suggests a clear relationship between countries that are closing the gender gap and those that are most dynamic. 6 of the 10 most competitive economies are also in the top 20 most equal. Greater involvement of women can deliver better growth, more competitiveness, and greater human development. As the founder of the World Economic Forum said, to develop the gender dimension is not just a question of equality. It is the entry card to succeed and prosper in an ever more competitive world. I believe policymakers, businesses, and institutions should not focus on the merits of increased female participation, but on the best methods for achieving it. We should move from why to how. Countries should be unafraid to learn from those who are leading the way, and that includes the Muslim world. On education, employment, and corporate diversity, Islamic nations are already showing leadership, taking clear steps to give women a more central role in the nation's economic future. It is my belief that is neither contrary to our faith nor to our traditions, that instead it honors the founding principle of Islam. Islam has always provided for female employment, a position that is supported by Islamic law, by Islamic tradition, and by the Qur'an itself. Verse 4.32, which was just recited, says that for men, it is a share of what they have earned, and for women, it is a share of what they have earned. Furthermore, women's economic empowerment traces its history back to the very beginning of our faith. Islamic women have fought battles, represented their people in parliament and their nations abroad. The first convert to Islam was a woman called Khadijah, Of all the merchants in Mecca, she was the most successful, an entrepreneur who managed an international trading empire. One day, she hired a young man by the name of Mohamed, and as the saying goes, the rest is history. It should come as no surprise then that at the time of its establishment, Islam provided for a degree of legal and financial independence, which was almost unprecedented. 1,000 years before the Enlightenment, Muslim women were empowered to own assets, inherit property, and manage their own financial affairs. They were allowed to participate in politics, permitted to enter into legal contracts, and encouraged to pursue knowledge through study. These principles have not changed. Neither has the Quran nor the example passed to us by the Prophet's own life. Together, they provide us with a compelling case for the economic empowerment of women. Ladies and gentlemen, if we wish to realize women's true economic potential, there are three things we can do. First, we must focus on what the UN Secretary General calls the smartest global investment of all, education. Educating women is good for individuals, good for families, and certainly good for nations. Educated women are less likely to die in childbirth and more likely to send their children to school. They have healthier families. Over the past 40 years, investment in women's education has prevented more than 4 million child deaths, and they are more productive in their own right. An increase in secondary school enrollment for girls is positively associated with participation in the labor force and with greater household and national income. According to the World Bank, for every 1% increase in the number of women with secondary education, a country's annual per capita income grows by around 0.3 percentage points. Girls who benefit from just 1 year of education above the national average earn between 10 and 20% more. Educating women is a critical factor in success, not just for women and their families, but for nations and their economies. When it comes to educating women in core subjects such as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the Muslim world is capable of leading the way. 13 Muslim countries together produce more science and engineering graduates than the United States. In Malaysia, almost 2/3 of students enrolled in tertiary education, would you believe it, are women. But there are also countries in which girls are falling behind, where the right to learn itself is being challenged, a right that's been defended so honorably by inspirational Malala Yousafzai. The Quran and the Hadith are clear. Learning is an honorable pursuit, regardless of gender. The acquisition of knowledge is binding for all Muslims. Those who argue against educating women do so as a result of a cultural bias, one which frustrates the aspirations of Muslim women and holds back economies. We owe to girls like Malala to deliver the best educational opportunities we can. That means prioritizing early years education, investing in teachers, regulating and evaluating schooling, and focusing on skills to help young women bridge the gap between education and the workplace. For education's promise to be fulfilled, women must be empowered to pursue opportunities it affords. And although the Muslim world is taking positive steps on education, we are falling behind when it comes to workforce participation. There are bright spots. Tanzania tops the global tables for women's participation in the workforce, and Indonesia is on par with the European Union. But overall, the position is clear. According to the World Bank, of the bottom 20 nations for female labor participation, 19 are majority Muslim countries. The latest Global Gender Gap report released just week shows slow but steady progress from much of the world, but many Muslim nations remain static. There are distinctive social and cultural reasons why economic participation rates differ. Not all women wish to join the formal economy, and labor participation is only one measure of development. But it seems unlikely that we are allowing all those women who do wish to participate to reach their full economic potential. And by leaving women out of our economies, we risk leaving ourselves on the wrong side of economic history. Our second task then is to ensure that more women can translate their education into a successful and lasting career. Evidence shows that policies to promote gender diversity matter, but adoption of such policies is too slow. Globally, just 66% of companies had equal opportunity policies last year, up from 64% in 2008. At that rate, we will have to wait until 2081 for full compliance. Governments should not hesitate to encourage economic participation more actively. But we need not always legislate. The Americas are amongst the best performing nations, despite having few legal quotas for gender diversity. Sometimes it is about setting the tone, with governments and businesses working together to promote greater equality. Structural changes can also help. OECD research suggests that expansion of the services sector and the creation of more part-time jobs can improve female participation. So too can tax changes and flexible working arrangements. But the most important factor in building a female-friendly workforce is the provision of childcare. For many women who are often primary carers, a lack of childcare services is the invisible wall that holds them back from participating in the economy. In Malaysia, we require organizations to set up creches, but workplace childcare is not always the answer. We should always look to other more innovative solutions, including community childcare, and encourage men to share responsibility when possible. To ensure women play a meaningful role in the economy, we must also consider the type of work women do and where they do it. According to the IMF, women are more likely to work unpaid and more likely to have informal jobs. The rural-urban income divide is often exaggerated, with rural women working shorter term and more precarious jobs. And of course, in most countries, a wage gap persists. Women typically earn between 70 and 90% of what men do for equivalent work. Malaysia faces many of these pressures. Our female labor participation is currently at 49.5%. We are aiming to improve it in order to see continued and sustainable growth. So we have introduced policies to attract, increase, and retain female employees. We have made a commitment to increase female labor participation rate to 55% over the next 3 years. We are supporting skills and programs and entrepreneurship opportunities for low-income earners and have introduced tax deductions for companies that train and employ women after career breaks. We are focusing our efforts to foster a culture of entrepreneurship which offers a path to economic participation for many women. And I am delighted to see that in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business report, which was released yesterday, and allow me just to blow our own trumpet, Malaysia has moved into 6th place, up from 23rd place last 3 years ago, and up from 12th position last year. We are also reinforcing Malaysia's position as a global hub for Islamic finance, a fast-growing and resilient industry. In Malaysia, women fill top roles in Islamic banking as chief executive, Sharia scholars and analysts, with assets now exceeding US 1.2 trillion and more socially responsible and financially secure prospects. Islamic finance offers one that offers significant opportunities for Muslim women. Finally, alongside education and workforce participation, we should redouble our efforts to shatter the glass ceiling. Numerous studies have shown that increasing female participation at the highest levels has a clear and positive effect on the health of companies and economies. Not only is the average share price of companies with women on the boards is greater, and returns on equity, sales, and invested capital higher, but the performance gap widens during times of market uncertainty. According to a Credit Suisse study, large corporations with women board members apparently outperformed those without by 26% between 2006 and 2012. With a smaller debt and a healthier attitude to risk, net income for companies with women on their boards grew by 14% over the same period, as opposed to 10% for those without. Evidence suggests female involvement at the top of the corporate world can also help refocus incentives away from potentially destructive short-term profit hunting towards more sustainable growth. Companies with women on the boards are more likely to account for environmental risk when making investment decisions, more likely to invest in clean energy, and more likely to focus on energy efficiency. They demonstrate a stronger commitment to good governance and to laying the foundations for long-term growth, working to improve access to healthcare and offering services to those with limited access to financial products. When it comes to representation in the boardroom, the evidence suggests that quotas can deliver results. In Malaysia, we have set an ambitious target. In 2 years' time, 30% of senior decision makers and corporate boards must be female. That is 3 times the global average, more than double the figure in the United States, and not far behind global leaders such as Norway. The decision-making skills and risk awareness that prove so useful in the corporate world should be brought to bear in the public sector. 4 years ago, women occupied just 18% of the top posts in Malaysia's civil service. Today, thanks to targeted training and support policies, it is 33%. 7 of Malaysia's government departments are led by women. And the governor of our central bank, Dr. Zeti, is one of the world's first female central bank governors. In fact, she has been awarded Grade A status by Global Finance magazine for the 10th time and has played an important part in managing Malaysia's continued growth. Dr. Zeti is an example to young Muslim women around the world. Her success shows that the glass ceiling can be broken for the benefit of all. Ladies and gentlemen, progress on these 3 areas, education, workforce participation, and corporate diversity, can unlock significant opportunities, not just for our citizens, but for our nations. By educating our girls and our women, by increasing their participation in the workforce, and by ensuring the highest opportunities remain open to all, we can strengthen our companies, our economies, and our prospects for the future. we can also honor the founding principles of our Muslim faith. I thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, that marks the official opening of the 9th World Islamic Economic Forum. Well, ladies and gentlemen, may we now invite His Majesty Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei Dar es Salaam to give his special address.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa bihi nasta'inu ala umurid dunya wad din. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa ba'di. The Honorable Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman of the WIEF Foundation. The Honorable Dato Sri Mohamed Najib Tun Abdul Razak, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Your Highnesses, ladies, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to be able to participate again in the World Islamic Economic Forum, and it is most appropriate that the meeting is being held in the City of London, a vibrant and well-established international financial center with a history dating back centuries. This forum takes place against a backdrop of major changes in the global landscape. Within the last decade, we have witnessed the rapid pace of globalization, with the ICT revolution bringing down barriers and overcoming distance. We have also seen increasing economic interdependence and integrating amongst various regions and countries of the world. All these have tremendous implications in the way we think, work, and deal with each other. It implies that we have to constantly renew and strengthen our relationship with one another. Notwithstanding these positive developments, there are still those who tend to subscribe to the division of the world between Islam and the West, as two are permanently locked in opposition to each other. However, history has shown that Islam and Muslims have coexisted harmoniously with other peoples and civilizations in various parts of the world, and this is certainly still the case today. Out of approximately 1.5 billion Muslims worldwide, many millions live in the West and are contributing to the development of the communities they live in. Trade and investment flows between Western and Muslim countries, such as the Gulf Cooperation countries and the OIC in the last 5 years, have been impressive. Nonetheless, despite the information revolution and the march towards globalization, there are still exist significant historical, political, and cultural divides among civilizations, especially between Islam and the West. In fact, what binds us together is much more significant than that which divides us. Around the world, we see growing disparities between the rich and the poor, with increasing unemployment leading to social and political unrest. Global growth is still confronted with risk, and our peoples continue to face challenges in various aspects of their lives, both socio-political and economic. These are interests and concern with global dimensions affecting our societies and the quality of life. The Western and the Islamic world face these common problems, and no country has the capacity to solve them alone. Thus, the need for constructive relations and solidarity between these two great cultures, Islamic and Western, is more urgently needed today than ever before. The challenges are profound and demand our collective efforts to enable our communities to live and work together to ensure global peace and security. I therefore would like to propose that we consider strengthening these approaches. First, the dialogues between Islam and the West, which were started as part of the global process a decade ago, such as alliance among civilizations, and interfaith dialogue should be enhanced to promote better understanding, trust, and confidence among both communities. We need to understand each other's worldview in order to remove fear and suspicion. Islam celebrates diversity. Getting to know each other better is a basic premise in seeking a common ground and in beginning to explore ways and means of addressing our common problems. Second, we should deepen our collaboration in further developing and complementing our financial resources. In many Muslim countries, it has been shown that Islamic bank and finance can coexist and prosper alongside conventional banking systems, and they should be mutually reinforcing. As we know, Islamic finance is one of the fastest growing segments in financial markets. Current estimates project that global Islamic industry will grow at an annual rate of 12.5% and is expected to reach $1.8 trillion by the end of 2013. In order to ensure an efficient, stable, and effective Islamic financial and banking industry that conforms to Sharia requirements, a number of major international financial centers have deployed the necessary infrastructure, including legal, regulatory, and supervisory frameworks. Hence, innovation and creativity in the industry will always be based upon both strong governance practices and Islamic finance requirements. It is important that we maintain this momentum and work to ensure that both the Islamic and conventional banking systems are able to serve the needs of the world community, especially in helping to manage the challenges faced by our communities. These challenges call upon banks and financial institutions to embrace the values of moral responsibility and to promote and protect social justice, for example, as required by the practice of zakat in Islam. In short, it is important for both banking systems to undertake charitable deeds with a view to give back to society. Ladies and gentlemen, there is certainly plenty of scope for the banking world to help address some of the challenges that we currently face. For example, recurring food insecurity poses major obstacles to development. Islamic finance can use this opportunity to address pressing problems by investing in agricultural research and development to enhance efficiency and expand production capacities. Islamic finance should also play a role in promoting small and medium enterprises by bringing together ethically responsible investors and businessmen and women who aspire to make a difference in their communities. I'm happy to learn that London is also rising to the occasion. London's role in Islamic finance came about more than a decade ago when regulators and policymakers introduced reforms which ease the use of Sharia compliance products. Sharia compliance assets have grown from 826 billion in 2010 and to 1.2 trillion in 2012 and are expected to further grow. Finally, when Islam was revealed through Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, 1,400 years ago, the first verse of the Holy Qur'an was to command the Prophet to read. The main tenet of the religious has always been to promote and nurture and preserve the quest for learning. In fact, learning and the acquisition of knowledge are fundamental to human survival and existence. I suggest our educational institution should further develop networks and linkages in order to promote wider student exchanges in all fields of knowledge, including Islamic studies. I'm glad that Britain is host to many fine educational establishments and institutions, including a number that focus on Islamic studies, such as the Oxford Center for Islamic Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, Islam has been a part of Europe for a long time, dating back to 10th century Cordoba in Spain. It had contributed immensely towards Western civilization in all fields of human endeavors. As our faith and well-being become intricately intertwined, I believe Islam will also be very much as essential part of Europe's future. I therefore welcome this World Islamic Economic Forum as part of global efforts to open up avenues of communications that will forge a new enduring relationship between the Muslim and non-Muslim communities worldwide, united by their shared values, interests, and concern. I wish you all much success in your deliberation. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Ladies and gentlemen, may we now invite His Excellency Hamid Karzai, President of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, for his special address.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Your Majesty, Sultan of Brunei, Highnesses, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It is a great pleasure to participate at the 9th World Economic Forum, where I wish to thank my brother Prime Minister Najib Razak and Chairman Tun Musa Hitam for inviting me to this event. May I also thank the British government for organizing it in the historic and beautiful city of London. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, the Islamic world, which has over 1.6 billion people, has a growing, young, and capable population. Our vast and diversified reserves of mineral resources, in addition to our fertile terrain and strategic trade routes, can bring us and our future generations unprecedented wealth and prosperity. However, and historically, low literacy rates, especially among our women, and underinvestment in education have inhibited the development of Muslim countries in almost all walks of life. Unfortunately, in more recent times, terrorism and violence have also caused insecurity and robbed us of the opportunity to continue on a normal path of development. Ladies and gentlemen, the Muslim world has the potential to become a major engine of global growth and prosperity. This can be achieved through economic cooperation and the sharing and acquisition of modern knowledge and technology. We need to invest in our productive capacities and adopt policies that encourage and promote entrepreneurship and the free movement of goods, resources, labor, and ideas between us. We need to invest in our human capital, which is central to our development and progress. Above all, we need to strengthen our state institutions so that they are more accountable and responsive to the expectations and needs of our people. As we interact and cooperate globally, we must counter the forces which deepen the divide between rich and poor and work together to ensure that the underdeveloped countries fulfill their legitimate aspirations. There is a need to harness the power of globalization in eliminating poverty and to offset its negative impact. This can be done through a system of global economic and financial governance that enshrines and promotes values of fair play and equity. In this context, we can take inspiration from the set of beliefs and practices that Islam offers. Islamic finance, for example, can contribute to the global financial system by reinforcing ethical and moral values that are fundamental to promoting the stability of the global financial system. And this morning, on the BBC, I saw that Prime Minister Cameron is going to announce today the issuing of Islamic bonds, which is a very welcome step. And I reveal my source, the BBC, as a source, so as to remove any suspicions of the Afghan government intercepting British communications. Ladies and gentlemen, we must also transform the uneven relationship between rich and poor countries, characterized by aid dependency and costly borrowings, and forge a new paradigm of partnership based on positive interdependence and mutual interest. This will require rich nations to support developing countries to increase their productive capacity through expanding infrastructure, developing human resources, and improving the quality of education, technology, and management. Industrial countries will benefit in return as the market for their goods and services expand in developing countries, leading to higher rates of growth and employment in their own countries. The challenge of reducing inequality among Muslim nations must also be addressed through liberalizing trade in a way that provides developing countries with much better access to global markets, in particular, ensuring free access to exports from least developed countries. Action in these areas will not only enable Islamic countries as a whole to exploit the extraordinary socio-economic resources and potentials, but also support countries impacted by conflict to advance security, development, and prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, coming from Afghanistan, one must also speak about Afghanistan and its future. Our vision for Afghanistan is to have a better, safer, and more prosperous future for Afghans, and also to contribute to the prosperity and security of the broader region. After 3 decades of turmoil and strife, Afghanistan has made great progress towards normalization of life during the past 12 years. This achievement has been the result of great sacrifices by the people of Afghanistan and also of support given to us by our international friends, among whom there are many Muslim countries as well. Today, Afghanistan is a forward-looking young democracy with functioning state institutions backed up by a vibrant civil society and a very free press. We have seen remarkable improvements in health, education, and infrastructure. In the security area, where we have serious deficiencies, our national army and police are taking more and more responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to our continuous efforts to stabilize Afghanistan's role as the trade, transit, and economic integration roundabout in the heart of Asia to the benefit of all the peoples of the region, the Afghan government is keen to move towards self-reliance as the transition process is completed. We intend to strengthen our national economy in at least 3 ways during the transformation decade, which will begin from 2014 onwards to 2024. First, by focusing on the development of agriculture and agribusiness sector, where over 60% of our population is employed, and where there is enormous potential for growth and employment generation. Second, Afghanistan holds trillions of dollars of natural resources, including minerals and hydrocarbons, representing a guaranteed source of wealth and income for generations to come. We already have several state-owned and private companies from China, India, the UK, Canada, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and other countries, in addition to Afghan companies, investing billions of dollars in copper, iron ore, gold, oil, and gas in our country. We are actively seeking additional foreign investments into this sector while remaining diligent to make sure our natural riches serve the goal of a strong, legitimate national economy and prosperity for the Afghan people. Third, the Tokyo Conference last July pledged over $16 billion through 2015 to help the Afghan people fulfill their objectives of filling the projected fiscal gap. Conference participants also committed to provide additional financial assistance to Afghanistan beyond 2016 at or near the levels of the past decade. This support will be critical in ensuring the continued sustenance and help to Afghanistan into the next 2 decades. Ladies and gentlemen, Afghanistan offers exciting opportunities for investment and business development. We stand ready to do our part for fostering global security and prosperity and to contribute to the well-being of the Muslim world. I invite you all, ladies and gentlemen, to come to Afghanistan and invest in our country and reap the benefits of our expanding domestic and regional market. We will provide you with the best and strongest incentives possible. We welcome you to Afghanistan, and we are ready to do business with you all, and I'm sure the business with us will be amicable and the profit will be easy to take abroad. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Karzai. Ladies and gentlemen, may we now invite His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, Crown Prince of the Kingdom of Bahrain, for his special address.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before I begin, may I ask for a round of applause for the speech that Prime Minister Abdul Razak gave about women's empowerment. Although it has no relation to the subject that I will speak about, it is my firm belief that the foundation of any democratic society is a democratic household, and the threshold to that is an empowered and equally productive environment for all genders. So thank you, sir. That was very brave and very appropriate. Your Majesties, Your Highness, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be addressing you today at this important conference to explore the future of Islamic finance and economy. It is significant that this is the first occasion that this event has taken place outside of the Muslim world. And it is significant that it is being held here in London. London is a cornerstone of the global financial system. As Asia finishes its day, London starts, and it passes the baton west at the close of its day. It is a city renowned the world over as a center for trade and for a unique openness and international outlook. I would like to thank His Excellency Prime Minister Cameron and His Excellency Prime Minister Dato Sri Abdul Razak for hosting this conference, the Honorable Baroness Varsi for so effectively promoting this event, and to congratulate the Honorable Hon.Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman of the WIEF, on the growth of this event to what it is today. All of us gathered here understand the absolute fundamental importance of economic development, which this forum helps enhance. Economic development thrives through interdependence. Growth in one country brings growth to others. It is a virtuous cycle. This year's forum looks at our changing world and new relationships. It speaks very firmly to my personal agenda and that of my country. While in the Middle East, we are not the entirety of the Islamic world, undoubtedly, the world's focus has been on our political developments. But the driver, the catalyst, and ultimately the solution to our region's issues lies as much in economic development, in enhanced opportunity, and in education. Through these, there is the opportunity of delivering lasting transformative change and prosperity across class, religion, sect, tribe, and race. By accepted estimates, in the Arab world, over 100 million jobs must be created in order to meet the population swell the region currently faces from one of the fastest growing youth populations in the world. This is an issue Bahrain recognized over 40 years ago, introducing a raft of programs aimed squarely at diversifying our economy and investing in education and skills development. It is a program I am passionate about and which I will continue to drive and evolve to meet the challenges of this generation. A major aspect of the work that has been undertaken in Bahrain has been around the development of industries that act as net multipliers within the economy. This work centers on the recognition that the private sector has a pivotal role to play as the engine of growth and productivity, and that investment in people is as important as investment in infrastructure. Strong financial institutions and regulatory frameworks form a central element in this approach, and these, in and of themselves, help drive job creation, something London knows very well. Our long-standing strength in financial services has served to benefit the growth of many other sectors as well. It has helped facilitate private sector funding for large-scale government infrastructure projects in housing and transport. It has also resulted in private investment in high productivity sectors such as manufacturing, petrochemicals, tourism, and real estate, all of which has helped create jobs and boost economic growth. As Bahrain sits at the heart of the rapidly growing GCC market, the Gulf Cooperation Council, valued at over $1.5 trillion today, the kingdom's financial sector has also played a role in fulfilling the funding needs of the wider region. And today, with the growth of Islamic finance, we proudly host the largest concentration of Islamic financial institutions in the region. Islamic finance has grown rapidly in recent years. As a whole, it is now valued, according to some estimates, in excess of $1.2 trillion globally. This growth has primarily been supported by three factors. Firstly, and naturally, this has occurred through the continued and fast growth in many of the economies of the Islamic world, home to 1.5 billion Muslims. Secondly, it has been supported by international investors looking to gain access to these markets. And thirdly, from observable growth coming from non-Muslim investors looking for what have become known as ethical investments, products that adopt the principles which underpin this area of finance. With such potential and opportunity on offer, there are now challenges to meet in order for the scale of demand to be matched, while ensuring that the religious foundation on which it is built and from which it gains its strength is preserved. Ultimately, there is a need to bolster and standardize the regulation of the industry as it develops. This means ensuring a universality of application to keep the industry attractive, reliable, and trusted, and able to meet the ever-growing demand. The industry could also benefit from new asset classes like private equity, infrastructure, and liquidity products, while supply of some products such as sukuk, which still do not match demand, is increased or are increased. Importantly, to help facilitate this growth, we must also empower and elevate those organizations that already exist to apply regulation and enshrine accepted standards. We have organizations like this one, like AOFI and others, capable of aiding the industry's development by protecting its fundamental attribute, the ability to deploy for Muslim and non-Muslim investors in a Sharia-compliant fashion. By ensuring these organizations retain full independence while strengthening their ability to operate, we can ensure the industry has the scalability to meet the growing demand, and this is very important here, while protecting the spiritual and ethical mandate that gives it its fundamental acceptance among the consumers. This is key. With this in mind, Bahrain, as a host to a number of organizations committed to the industry's development, is absolutely committed to working with our fellow pioneer, Malaysia, as well as with emerging hubs such as London, to aid Islamic finance's growth. And in that spirit, I would like to invite you all to Bahrain at some time in the future to hold another meeting so that we can further this good work. Through greater cooperation, trade, and the exchange of ideas, markets can be explored, opportunities developed, and ultimately jobs created, helped by key multilateral events like this. And Islamic finance serves as a key example of the potential and opportunity we have in our grasp. It is one we cannot afford to lose, and in conclusion, I would like to thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing and absorbing all of your valuable contributions that will be made over the days ahead. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Ladies and gentlemen, may we now invite His Excellency Bakir Izetbegovic, Member of the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, for his special address.
Chairman Hitam, Prime Minister Abdul Razak, Dr. Ali, Your Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It is a great pleasure to be at the 9th World Islamic Economic Forum, and I would like to thank the forum for inviting me here. And I congratulate you on a wonderful job you have done organizing this year's meeting. In today's rapidly changing world, so many states and societies are striving to achieve or maintain their economic security and stability. Leading economic giants in the West are passing through challenging difficulties and downturns. The undeveloped and underdeveloped countries are struggling to find economic models and policies that secure equitable development in the midst of change and uncertainty. On the other hand, vibrant new economic powers are emerging in the East, taking advantage of new opportunities brought by globalization. The international economic order is undergoing dynamic restructuring, which will ultimately lead to reordering of strategic relations and alignments. The right questions is not whether to align with the existing or with emerging powers and structures. The real issue is how to develop new relations while preserving the existing ones. The Islamic world must seek an active role and be relevant in this changing global economic equation. We must learn from those in the Islamic world who have achieved success. There is an increasing number of bright examples. There is Turkey with its economic miracle of a decade-long economic boom. There is Malaysia, whose economy has been strongly and steadily growing for decades. There is Indonesia, the largest economy in Southeast Asia, whose full potential is just now unleashing. We should look at these and at many other examples. We should insist on cooperation and exchange of ideas and best practices, especially among ourselves. We have to reorganize opportunities to work together and for benefit from each other's strengths and competitive advantages. We should set goals that bring value not only to Muslims, but to the rest of the world. That is how we become relevant in the new global economic order. In our time of instant exchange of information and influence, there is an intense battle of ideas and ideologies. Muslims must engage in this battle and remain open to dialogue. We must not be poisoned by the bitterness accumulated to centuries of economic domination by West. We must not fall into the trap of radicalism. We must not fear the other and the different, and must not subscribe to the dangerous ideologies of isolation, introversion, and exclusiveness. We have to look for a formula of inclusiveness, for a functional combination of the original Islamic values and the best of values we consider Western and modern. European Muslims play a special role in the quest for this formula of integration, because we are in direct contact with and immersed on Western culture, because we have a special interest in reconciling the traditional within us and the modern around us. In the time to come, the relation between the West and the Islamic world and between their respective value systems will be passing through crises and periods of misunderstanding and intolerance. No matter how hard it may be, we have to keep reconciling this relation. The growing power of humankind brings progress, yet the selfish side of that power cuts into the very substance on which our future depends, on physical habitat and our spiritual essence. Inequality, injustice, intolerance are rising, and so are pollution and depletion of natural resources. There is ever less compassion, solidarity, and fairness. These unsettling trends can be reversed only by coordinating the global action. A strong, well-organized, and unified Ummah has a role to play and must give its contribution to reversing these trends. We must join our forces in finding the right solutions. Self-sustainable, human, halal, actually, isn't it the same thing? We are not perfect, but we can be better. We can be more responsible and more willing to learn from our past mistakes. We must break out of the worn patterns of the past. We must correctly interpret the interests of those who we represent. We must understand each other better and respect each other more. It is in our nature not to be comfortable with the change, but we must embrace change that brings progress. One of the greatest struggles of our time will be that of conflict versus cooperation. I come from the country whose historical experience can offer valuable lessons in dealing with this challenge. In our struggles, we in Bosnia have passed through many of the challenges that the Islamic world faces today, and we are eager to have the world benefit from our understanding and management of the diversity and change. The human condition is one of diversity. Our human race is a mosaic composed of a rich variety of peoples and structures, cultures that shine together in a dynamic, sparkling pattern. Our responsibility is to protect our nature that is mosaic. The spirit of Islam is inclusive. It acknowledges all that is good and progressive. Anything that makes the world better and liberates human creativity cannot be against Islam. Anything that is truly Islamic cannot be against freedom, progress, and the liberalization of human potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, may we now invite Her Excellency Atifete Yayaga, President of the Republic of Kosovo, for her special address.
Good morning, Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, Honorable Excellencies, Prime Minister of Malaysia, Najib Razak, dear participants of the 9th World Islamic Economic Forum, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by saying how honored I am to be here today in this distinguished forum among so many friends, and hosted in one of the dearest countries to my people, to discuss the common ideals of development and our common challenges in a world that continues to struggle with recession and economic and financial crisis that has not spared any corner of the world. In particular, I am pleased in this forum to represent for the first time my country, the Republic of Kosovo, which, though geographically far removed from most of you, joins very much in sharing the same values as you, those of the democratic world. I'm also grateful that this forum takes place here in London, a city where many young men and women from my country have found a great opportunity to pursue their dreams, and the capital of the country that has stood by Kosovo's people and helped them tirelessly in their quest for freedom and prosperity. Because of this continued support that helped us find peace and become masters of our own fate, and which enabled us to give birth to Europe's youngest state, we have now opened a new chapter in Kosovo, one where its citizens no longer live in fear and intimidation, into a place where our striving together with our allies, with you, to turn into a country of strong hopes and of the great opportunities. As we have seen with the latest economic downturn, particularly in Europe, creating opportunities and maintaining hope for a better future that so many of our citizens hinge on takes more than the solution provided by a sole country, because more often than not our fates are intertwined. Today, no country in the world can be immune to the familiar list of grievances: ethnic and sectarian strife, political deadlock, economic deprivation, scarce natural resources, discrimination, inequality, the widening gap between the poor and the rich, between the developed and developing. In the past, at different times, any of these ailments could have accounted for particular societal breakdown that happened in isolation only for the history to judge them. But today, no longer does it matter whether you are geographically or strategically removed. The tremors in one country cannot be contained to that country alone. Yet, this new era, as never before in the history of humanity, has also brought new chances of the cooperation. In this age of integration and participation, the issue of inclusion has become much larger. Around the world, countries and people historically divided or placed on the sidelines by means of repression, social conventions, or prejudice are now stepping forward to take their place at the table. I come from a part of Europe that has remained outside the European Union and where history has known more cleavages than unity and cooperation. Southeastern Europe has had a history of destruction, and reconciliation between people has been difficult. Still, in the last decade, the countries of the region have been in remarkable progress as they moved towards prosperity. Kosovo is determined to stay firmly on this path. We are set on protecting our long tradition of multiculturalism and religious tolerance. We are bent on giving each and every citizen equal rights, chances, and responsibilities. We are proud that in rebuilding our country, women have taken a central role. And we are committed to create a country where its men and women have opportunity to unleash their full potential. Only then can we rest assured that we have set Kosovo on its road to growth and to prosperity. And let me share the good news. Kosovo has moved the world's top 5 reformers in the World Bank Doing Business report. This part of Europe has many opportunities and offers many capacities to become a part of the developed world and to become a part of the global economic renewal. This region is a strong bridge given its cultural and religious diversity, and it plays a crucial role for peace and stability. The inclusion of Southeastern Europe will reduce the danger of the renewal of the conflicts. It will make the governments of the countries in the region responsible to advance the well-being of their citizens and to change the outlook on the democratic values that will bring about more economic prosperity. We are small countries with interdependent economies that continue to be underdeveloped, that resolve the problems with difficulty, but which are striving to adapt to open market and that have almost fully weathered the global financial crisis, in part due to the banking stability. As a region and as respective countries, our capabilities are great. A young labor force, educated and talented, great opportunities for investment and for attracting foreign capital, a business climate that is increasingly improving throughout the region. As a whole, the region is in search for another chance to prosper and to be inseparable part of common solution to our common problems. Societies in transition should not forever remain dependent on donations. They should strive for economic cooperation and mutual benefit towards an economic interdependence that would never produce a zero-sum outcome. Your Excellencies, we have gathered here today to search for new ways to improve our citizens' lives and increase the sustainability of our countries through cooperation. In doing so, our main focus rightly lies on economic development, the common denominator to provide what our citizens want: jobs, strong economy, sound education, and sustainability, so that the next generation can have more opportunities than we did. The conversation that we have started in this forum highlights that the answer of our joint success is inclusion, because through it, every country will be invited to shoulder the responsibility and, above all, to interconnect our economies. We must find the point of convergence through the goodwill and the mutual benefit, not only as predetermined by geography or history, because many of us here share more than that. We share tradition and commitment to the same values that can only strengthen the bonds between our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Yayaga. Ladies and gentlemen, may we now invite His Excellency MD Abdul Hamid, President of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, for his special address.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Chairman of World Islamic Economic Forum, Tun Musa Hitam, Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dato Sri Najib Tun Abdul Razak, Excellencies, the leaders of the Islamic world, IDB President Dr. Ahmad Mohamed Ali, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to join you all at the 9th World Islamic Economic Forum. Since 2005, the forum had been serving as a unique platform for leaders, private sector, and professionals across the Muslim world to interact and tap with opportunity within the beyond the Islamic world in increasing intra-Islamic trade, Islamic finance, and investment. Bangladesh has been continuously engaged with the forum. Our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina attended the forum in Malaysia in 2010. We also recall the forum's 5th roundtable session in Dhaka in 2012. Excellencies, global political and economic landscape has gone through notable change in the recent times. The Islamic world witnessed popular uprising in the Arab streets demanding change. Since the financial crisis 6 years back, global economy is still to gain its momentum as before. Europe was in trouble with its single currency, with slow growth, contraction of some of the economies, rising unemployment. The changes, therefore, may not sound very promising, but every change will offer opportunities to make things better. Ladies and gentlemen, if we could benefit the areas where we need improvement, we should be able to determine what kind of relationships we need to work upon. Let me highlight a few critical issues where we believe we can build more effective relationships. First, market. With democratization, countries in the Arab world and elsewhere would be ready to open up more to market economy. Our challenge, however, would remain to take market to the masses so that business could bring opportunities for everyone. If jobs are not created, access to skill, capital,
and market would remain limited. Despite growth, discontent in the streets will remain. How companies and business define their relationship with market to make it more pro-people will remain crucial in changing political landscape. Our efforts, therefore, should focus to make these relationships a sustainable and inclusive one. Second, technology. Technology is transforming the world in many ways. Connectivity is increasing, and individual freedom and choices are widely enhancing. Yet, there is a great majority without access to technology. They fall on the other side of the digital divide, DVD. With technology as a key factor of production, the silent majority may be deprived even more. Without the reasonable level of skill or an education, they may never reap the technology's dividend. Clearly, the companies need to think how they could democratize the technological advancement. Services from health to weather forecast through new technologies, for instance, can empower people to make informed decisions. Such scenarios could also force new partnership between the government and business for assured and quality public-private partnership of public goods, particularly to the marginalized and vulnerable segments. Third, environment. Coming from the world's largest delta, climate change is a matter of almost survival for millions in Bangladesh. As Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and other global assessments already underlined, our deltaic floodplain is vulnerable with just 1 meter rise in our sea level. As a result, millions risk. For us, the relationship between growth and environment is most critical, be in agriculture or fisheries or livelihood. Lives and livelihood of millions of our people is so deeply integrated with nature that we cannot afford to opt for development at the cost of environment. While we have contributed the least to global carbon emission, we stand to suffer the most. Clearly, we would ask the companies to reduce their carbon footprint. Companies need to make a choice. Should they pursue growth alone or also be a catalyst facilitating equality and sustainability? Let us ask, can the companies from the Islamic world step in, inspired by true teachings of Islam, and set the path for the rest of the world? Excellencies, Bangladesh is aware of the challenges in addressing the concerns. In spite of numerous challenges and constraints and global recession, our economy has been doing well. Currently, Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing economies in South Asia and is considered as one of the next 11 globally. But we are mindful that growth alone would not empower people to ensure social justice. We have, therefore, been investing in our people. Our objective is to ensure dignity, equality of opportunity for each person. We made significant progress in achieving most of the MDGs. Our social indicators have received global acclamation. We have also invested in environmental protection. We created funds from own resources for climate change adaptation. We also took internet to villages by establishing local internet access points at the grassroots. Almost everyone has access to mobile phones, which deliver some of the public goods directly. We are forging public-private partnership for inclusive growth. We are confident with appropriate and innovative interventions, we would be able to muster change for better for everyone. I hope that the private sector in the Islamic world would also strive to do the same. I extend my thanks and gratitude to the organizers, especially the Malaysian government and UK government, for arranging this conference. I also convey my heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia for taking initiative to hold this important conference. With these few words, I like to conclude here by expressing my thanks and gratitude to you all for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.